had been the daughter of the king. As princess she had everything, but her feelings could not be kept within. For that she lost an eye. Arna and the pirates all at sea. The pirate ship, the Sunrise, rocked gently on the waves, and down on the decks most of the pirates snored away in their hammocks. Dace, the young silent pirate, kept watch up above in the crow's nest. Ropes stretched, planks creaked, and the occasional fish jumped out of the water with a splash. And in Nancy's cabin, she was pouring some wine for Arna, who didn't normally drink. "So, you're really a princess, Nancy?" Nancy winced. "I was, in another life. I grew up in the king's palace. My mother died when I was young." "Mine too," Arna cried. They exchanged sisterly looks, and Nancy continued, "Some might have called it a life of luxury. I don't know. I had servants to cook for me, clean for me, brush my hair, make my bed. I bathed in goat's milk. At the end of every day, my clothes were burned, and new ones were brought. For breakfast, we would eat eggs from the nest of rare eagles, eggs that had been stolen by soldiers who had been sent to climb mountain cliffs to get them. Often they fell to their deaths when the mother eagle came back to defend her nest. But this was all normal to me until I got a bit older and I started thinking about it. It was when I realized that the wine my father, the king, drank each day was actually made from the tears of children that I began to have doubts. I learned that even our carpets were made from the hair of women whose heads were shaved by soldiers. They walked right into their houses to do it, Arna. And then one day, while his servants were nibbling his fingernails to keep them short, one of them bit too close to the finger, and moments later, I promise you, the servant was thrown into the tiger pit. I'll never forget how he screamed. It was then I realized that everyone in the court was terrified. Frankly, terrified. Every moment of night and day. But was your father at least nice to you, Nancy? Nice? Arna, the king let me know every day how disappointed he was in me that I'd failed to be born as a boy. That was my fault, apparently. Why did he want a boy? Oh, he thought boys were tough and strong, the stuff that rulers were made of. Girls, in his opinion, were soft and weak, full of giggles and tears. What's wrong with laughing and crying? He said it was a sign of weakness. He had 2 hawks who circled in the air all day, and he had trained them to swoop down and snatch out my hair if I ever smiled or wept. Caw, caw. I could always hear them, even if I couldn't see them. So I learned to keep my feelings to myself. Oh, I'm so sorry, Nancy. Well, it's in the past now. Have some more wine. Anyway, there was one person who was nice to me, my nanny, Arna. She seemed very strict when we were in court, but as soon as we were back in my room, she was playful, affectionate. She played games with me. She cuddled me. She told me stories. I don't think I would have managed without her. She was there all through my childhood, and even when I was old enough to brush my own hair and make my own bed, I needed her terribly. She was the only warm place in a palace that was cold and cruel. So when she got ill one day, I begged the king to send for doctors, but he just sneered at me. "One less mouth to feed if she dies," he said. I had to bite back my emotion because I knew his hawks were flying overhead, and so there was nothing I could do, Arna. I had to watch as Arna grew weaker and weaker. She coughed all night, and she tried to hide it from me, but I could see she was suffering terribly. And then one morning, I woke up. Her bed was quiet. I went over to her. She was cold as stone. She died in the night. The king's servants carried her out and ordered her to be thrown to the tigers. I screamed until the tears came, and Gah! Down came the king's hawks. I fought one of them off, but the other grasped with its talons and pulled out my eye. Oh, Nancy. The king ordered me to be thrown into a pit. It was covered with a large stone, so I was left there in darkness. Once a day, the leftovers of lunch were thrown down for me to scrounge. I never knew whether it was night or day. I was so cold, so thirsty. My eye hurt like crazy, and my heart was broken. So, how did you ever escape? Perhaps that's a story for tomorrow night, Arna. But before we sleep, won't you show me the pearl once more? In the next episode, we'll find out how Princess Rana, otherwise known to us as Nancy, escaped the palace of the king. My name's Tom Thumb. I write these stories for you. If you like them, you know what to do. Tell your friends. Arna and the pirates all at sea. Oh, Arna and the pirates all at sea. Arna and the pirates all at sea. And they'll never come home again. They'll never come home again.